Now guys, before we go ahead and get on to this creepypasta reading video, I just want to give out some credit to Vincent Marucut too, who had created this creepypasta, and I had to cut some of recording because, well, I was struggling to breathe and all. Well, no, I'm not struggling to breathe. It was try to read the words and all, cause yeah. But anyways, enjoy the video. In June 8th, 2014, a huge 9-foot long great white shark was eaten by an even bigger mysterious sea monster. According to scientists, researchers had tagged the healthy shark to track its movements as part of a study, but were shocked when the tracking device washed up on a beach in Australia 4 months ago. After this, the Australian government developed interest in the tracking device, so they sought to recreate what happened to the great white. 4 men and 1 woman volunteered for it. They were told this was simply to see how an average person would manage to swim than the average great white shark. They were also told there would be a substantial reward should they succeed. Each subject was brought by a boat at midnight in the water, and their goal was to swim towards to the closest beach, which was 400 miles away. The first test subject arrived at the beach at 2:00 a.m. He had a scuba diver suit, a headlight, a waterproof phone to type down the entries, and a tracker to the beach. When he arrived, he handed the phone to the agents and was driven to a nearby city, where he was handed the reward. The text note in the phone said the following: 306.4 miles away from the beach. I stopped by near coral to rest. I see fishes and small sharks swimming around me as coral glows around me. 157 miles away from the beach, I came across a whale group. It's kind of peaceful watching it. I could have sworn I saw a shadow of something that didn't look like a whale. 64 miles away from the beach, I saw a bunch of fish swam past me. I was confused why they were all scared. Even the sharks were like that. I didn't think much of it. 2 miles away from the beach. I am almost there. I can see the beach from here. I don't need to type anymore. The first subject took a vacation since he needed a break from diving for a while. The second test subject was deployed in a different boat. She had the same gear as the previous one, except instead of a headlight, she had an underwater flashlight. She arrived at the beach at 2:30 a.m. The text note in the phone said the following:
256.4 miles away from the beach. I took a break to take a look at what looks to be a carcass of whales. I could see swarms of crabs and sharks picking at. I thought a whale died here due to an old age when I looked above. I swore I saw a big shadow. Didn't know if it was another whale, a big shark, or a boat. 188 miles away from the beach, I was swimming around until I heard something. It didn't sound like a whale call or anything. It sounded like a thrumming noise. I am starting to second doubt this experiment. 50 miles away from the beach, I saw a pack of sharks swam past me, and I saw the same big shadow in the corner of eyes. I turned around to see what it was, but when I locked eyes on it, it vanished. I feel uneasy. 1 mile away from the beach, I can see the beach from here, so I was swimming towards it until I saw a dead shark on the surface. I was freaked out because half of the shark was bitten almost to death, almost half. I felt like a great white did this. I was scared, but I was 1 mile away. I figured I could get to the beach without any problems.
The second test subject worked at an aquarium, and her job was to feed dolphins and would tell people her experience there. The third test subject was deployed in a different boat like the previous one. He had the same gear, except he had waterproof UV light. He arrived at the beach at 3 a.m. His test notes said the following: 360.4 miles away from the beach. It's really hard to navigate with this UV light since it didn't have a lot of light. But with this, I could see some sea creatures nearby, like some sharks or just fish. 200 miles away from the beach. I started to find my way towards the beach as I then found a shadow of groups of whales. I can almost be sure there was one shadow wasn't from any other of the whales, maybe a nearby shark. 171 miles away from the beach. Now I'm definitely freaked out. I took a break by the surface when I heard a thrumming sound. I saw the source of the noise. It's really hard to tell how big or close it was, but there was plenty of both to go around. It was hard to tell more than just a shadow in the murky water, but it clearly wasn't a whale or anything man-made. I couldn't even tell if it was a single creature. 70 miles away from the beach, I saw a group of turtles swim right past me, and a lot of them looked frightened. I turned to look what they were swimming away from. It was that same shadow from before. I swam away before I could see what it was. 3 miles away from the beach. I could see the beach from here now. I'm close. That shadow from before, though, kept following me. The more I swam, the closer it got. Thankfully, I haven't seen it for a while, so I could go to the beach without any more delays. The third test subject remained in alarm for a few days afterwards, but soon returned to a calm state. The fourth subject was deployed in a different boat like the others. He had the same gear, except he had a waterproof infrared camera. He arrived at the beach at 6 a.m. The agents noticed he was physically and physiologically shaken. He was panting and crying in fear. He was on the sand and the right scuba flipper on. His foot was ripped. His text notes in the phone said the following: 306.4 miles away from the beach. This camera really doesn't help me navigate. I even bumped into things because of it. Almost everything I see is blue and black, except for the occasional red spot of a fish or other sea creatures. 157 miles away from the beach. I don't know where the hell you guys put out here with me in this water, but it's not funny. I took a break to go to the surface, but then I hear a thrumming sound, followed by reef fish, larger fish, sharks, and an orca whale streaming by me fast. It's kind of weird to see an orca be frightened because they're usually the apex predators of a sea. So I thought this orca was swimming away because it was being hunted by whalers. So I took my camera to see what it was they were swimming away from. But it wasn't a whaler's boat. It was some kind of big mass or sea creature. I could be sure there was no normal sea creature. It wasn't even a whale. It looked like a shark, but not a whale shark. It was large. It was way larger. It was long, and it does not have a fin on its back. I couldn't make out its details since it was glowy bright red. I slowly swam away from it, never losing out on my sight of it, even though it faded off into the distance as though that mass of water. I'll quicken up my pace. The faster I get out of here, the better. 148 miles away from the beach. I'm sorry for not typing more frequently. I just never had the chance. Shortly after the last entry, I heard the thrumming sound again. This time, it happened behind me. I didn't turn around. I swam as fast as I can. I felt my flipper caught into something, but I swam too hard, it ripped off. I found a huge underwater cave I could hide in. I hid under the cave and waited for that thing to pass. I took so long because of that. It didn't leave me alone. I'll probably not type anything else until I get to safety. Last thing I want is to be surprised by the thing while my guard is down. The fourth test subject was visibly stressed and was taken to a psychologist for 3 months. He never went to the ocean again. The fifth and final subject never came back. Like the others, he was deployed into a different boat, same gear and stuff, except he had waterproof night vision goggles. After the fourth subject left, the agents were able to leave the beach until they found a cracked phone on their doorstep. The phone belonged to the fifth subject. It had only one entry. It said the following: 400 miles away from the beach. If you find this, please tell my mom and dad I love them. These may be my last words. After I couldn't see the boat anymore, I saw a bunch of fish swim past me. And it's not just the reef fish, larger fish, octopuses, sharks, sea turtles, dolphins, 3 orcas, and 2 whales all swam past me. I turned at it to look at the direction what they were swimming away from, and it was a big shadow in the murky water. I aimed my goggles at it. I could see it. 20 miles in front of me, it was swimming around me. As I typed this, its body is similar to a mako shark in the shape, but its head was rounder and its mouth was filled with razor-sharp teeth like a barracuda's. It's larger than any whale I have ever encountered, and larger than any cruise ship I've been on. Its pectoral fins were as flat as a sea turtle's flippers, with webbed fingers on each side. It has no back fin. I can't even call that thing behind it a tail. It had no eyes. Is this the creature that ate the 9-foot shark? Oh God. It makes thrumming noises and it's coming towards me. After the conclusion of the experiment, the Australian government lied on the news that the huge 9-foot great white shark was eaten by a larger great white shark. They then placed a border and a guard tower surrounding the entire beach where the experiment happened. They made sure not to let anyone in the water or anything out.